And hundreds of children's books have been written about Juan Bobo in English and Spanish. So this about this character, thousands and hundreds of books have been written about this character, both in English as well as in Spanish. You know Spanish language? Have you ever heard Spanish? Spoken in Spain.
No, ma'am.
In country Spain.
Ma'am, I know Spanish, ma'am.
Okay. Where is this Puerto Rico? Let's see where is Puerto Rico in the world map. You know what is world map?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We know the map of the world.
Can you identify India here?
Yes, ma'am. In the middle. Ma'am, it is blur, ma'am. Ma'am, blur, ma'am. Ma'am, it is blur, ma'am. Drawing option, ma'am. I will circle it by India, ma'am.
Puerto Rico is
You are reading, ma'am. When you are reading, also the paragraph letters are not visible, ma'am.
Let's see if the textbook is also not visible, then I'll close this. Okay. This I picked up from Google. Maybe that's the reason. Okay, so Puerto Rico is a colony of United States. It's a part of USA. Okay, in the Caribbean Sea, near the Caribbean Sea. And what is the total population? That is 4 million. That is 40 lakhs. Here they speak Spanish as well as English. And Puerto Rico is a group of islands. See, this is the place of Puerto Rico. Do you know what is an island? Can anybody tell me what is an island? Andaman Nicobar Islands near India. Huh?
Four sides surrounded by water.
Andaman.
See, Puerto Rico is like Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep. So Puerto Rico is an
Yes,
island
ma'am.
where it is 4 sides. It is surrounded by water. Puerto Rico is a territory or a colony of United States in Caribbean Sea. It has almost 4 million people. The people here speak Spanish and English. And Puerto Rico is a group of islands. See my cursor? Island is a place where 4 sides of this place is surrounded by water. And now let's start the story.
Juan Bobo lived in Puerto Rico. Well,
now here starts the actual lesson. Please concentrate and don't talk in the middle. And now let's start the story.
Juan Bobo lived in Puerto Rico. Well, his name was Juan, but he was called Juan Bobo because he was sometimes quite silly.
So Juan Bobo was called, actually his name is Juan, but he was called Juan Bobo because he sometimes acted in a very silly way.
One day, Juan Bobo's mother invited friends for dinner. I'll make chicken stew, she said to Juan Bobo. She had the chicken and she had the rice, but she didn't have a large enough pot. One
day, Juan Bobo's mom, she decides to call all her friends for dinner and she wanted to make chicken stew. So she had chicken, she had rice, but she didn't have a big pot, large enough to cook the chicken stew. So she asked Juan Bobo to go to his grandmother's place and get a big pot.
Bobo, she said, go to your grandmother's house and borrow the biggest pot she has. Hurry, so I can make my stew. Juan Bobo loved chicken stew. He ran outside.
Since Juan Bobo loved chicken stew very much, he immediately rushed towards his grandmother's house, which is up the hill.
And up the hill towards his grandmother's house. When he reached his grandmother's house, he went straight to the cupboard where she kept the pot.
So once he reached her place, immediately he ran to the place where the cupboard where she kept all her pots, and he took that pot and rushed back towards his home.
He lifted it up on his shoulder and called, "Thank you, grandmother," before heading for home.
Disconnected.
Ma'am, the video start.
No, it got disconnected. Again, I'm playing.
And I can see the screen.
Lifted it up on his shoulder and called, "Thank you, grandmother," before heading for home. Home wasn't far, but that pot was heavy and the day was hot. "I think I'll rest a while," he said aloud.
The distance between his house and his grandmother's house is not very far, but since it was very hot, he was carrying the pot on his shoulder. He decides that he'll take rest for a while and puts the pot on the ground.
So he stopped and put that pot on the ground. Suddenly, he noticed those 3 legs. "Hey," he said, "you..."
Then when he puts the pot on the ground, he notices, that is, he observes that this pot has 3 legs, whereas one Bobo has 2 legs. Then he starts speaking to the pot. He says that you have 3 legs and I have 2 legs, so why don't you have a race towards my home? And he is also saying that why should I carry all the way? See, one Bobo is such a silly character. Do you think the pot can walk on its own?
No, ma'am.
So when he was
that's a non-living thing.
yeah, that's the
No,
reason
ma'am.
why Bobo's character became very famous, because he acts in a silly way. He is a foolish person. So he's saying he kept the pot on the ground since it was very heavy and it was very hot. He's talking to the pot actually. Does anybody talk to the pot? Darsh, are you feeling sleepy?
No, ma'am.
Please
No,
say.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So he's
No,
telling,
ma'am.
yeah, listen to me. He's telling, I have 2 legs.
No, ma'am.
Pot has 3 legs. You have 3 legs. Then he says, why don't you walk on your own and let's have a race towards my house.
"You have 3 legs and I have only 2. Why should I carry you, you lazy pot?" he said. "Why don't you walk on your own? Come, we'll race to my house. But since I have just 2 legs and you have 3, I'll take a head start." The pot seemed to be staring back at
Then he says that since you have 3 legs and while I have only 2, I'll start first and you come back to me. Come after me.
him. "It's easy. The house is just downhill."
Then he was telling that since you don't know the house is very nearby. It's just down the hill around the corner. And he nodded at the pot. And it seems that the pot was staring at him. That is, the pot was looking at him.
"And round the corner," he said, nodding at the pot. He was sure it understood his directions. "I'm off," he said, and he began to race.
So he explained where his house is, and he thought that the pot understood the directions or the way to go towards his home, and he started racing towards his home.
Towards home. When he reached the cottage, he rushed inside and said to his mother, "Did I get here first?" Juan Bobo's mother looked at her son's sweaty, flushed face and said,
She was surprised. Where is the? She asked him to get the pot. He didn't seem to be getting the pot to her back, and she saw him sweating with red face, that is flushed face, and said, "Where is the pot?"
"What are you talking about? Where is your grandmother's pot?" "Mother," Juan Bobo said very seriously, "that pot has 3 strong legs, and I only have 2. So I told the pot I would race it home."
So he started telling that the pot has 3 legs, whereas I have 2 legs. So I told the pot to come on its own, and we both had a race.
Juan Bobo's mother shook her head. "Oh, Juan Bobo, don't you know pots can't walk on their own? You go back and get that pot right."
Then she was saying, "Oh, Juan Bobo, you know that pots don't walk on their own. Come on, Red, get that pot right back. Otherwise, I won't serve you dinner. You cannot enjoy the chicken stew at all."
Right now,
So she's saying, "Are you foolish? Do you think the pots can walk? So go and get back the pot immediately. Otherwise, I won't serve you the dinner. I won't give the chicken stew." Manvita Reddy, please concentrate. Okay, he actually, One Bobo likes chicken stew very much. So he was very much looking forward to it. But when his mother said, Until and unless you get the pot, I won't serve you the dinner.
You have no stew at all. Juan Bobo ran back up the hill and found the pot right where he had left it. Lazy pot!
Then when he went back to the pot, he found the pot where he found the pot where he has left, and he started shouting on the pot. He's saying, "Lazy pot, I told you to come home. Why didn't you come?" So he was very angry because the pot was not answering him back. Then he kicked the pot.
He shouted. Now I'm in trouble with my mother and I may not have dinner tonight. You have one more chance. Get going down the hill.
And he says that, "See, it's because of you. I may not have dinner today. And this is the last chance I'm giving." Then he kicked the pot.
Naturally, the pot just sat there, staring at poor Juan Bobo. And this made the boy angry. So Juan Bobo kicked the pot. It tipped over on its side and began to roll down the hill. That's right, Juan Bobo cried, overjoyed that at last the pot was on its way.
Then when he kicked the pot rolled over. It tripped and it tripped over till the ground, and he was overjoyed. He was extremely happy to see that the pot was rolling down.
Home. And so the pot and Juan Bobo reached home. Juan Bobo was very happy that night as he ate the delicious chicken stew.
Was extremely happy that he got to eat the delicious chicken stew, that which mother has cooked inside the pot, which he has got from his grandmother's home.
His mother had cooked inside that pot. In the morning, his mother said, Now, Juan Bobo.
The next morning, his mother says, "Why don't you give this pot back to your grandmother?" So she instructs him to go to his grandmother's house.
Take the pot back to your grandmother's house. Juan Bobo looked at the pot and saw that it still had 3 legs. And even though he was full with the delicious chicken stew, he still had only 2 legs. But
So he was observing, he had the chicken stew, but it still had 2 legs, whereas the chicken stew, which was cooked for all over the night in the pot, it has 3 strong legs.
Juan Bobo's heart was kind, and he knew the pot had worked hard all night cooking that stew.
So Juan Bobo felt very sorry for the pot that whole night it was tired because it was cooking the chicken stew inside the pot. Then he was so kind that he felt bad that pot cooked the stew all night, so he must be so tired. So let me carry this pot on my shoulder and take it back to my grandmother's house.
So he picked up the pot and carried it on his shoulder up the hill. But as he walked, he said, Next time, you'll walk back home on your own, my friend.
Then he says, while going back on his way back to his grandmother's home, he says, this, "Next time I won't carry you. You have to go on your own." So did you understand the story? And did you understand how foolish Juan Bobo was? In spite of his mother saying that pot don't talk, he went back to the pot and he kicked the pot. And he's thinking that the pot has listened to him and it rolled to his home. Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now let's read the story. First, we learn the pronunciation of each and every word. Can you see the print? Is it clear or blur?
Blur, man. Blur, man.
One, stew,
Ma'am.
Blur, man.
cupboard,
Blur,
smile, staring,
man.
nodding, direction,
Ma'am, this one.
touched.
Yeah, you do one thing. You open the book. I'll show the words. How to spell the words he's telling. Okay. Open the book, page number 76. Now, Juan Bobo lived in Puerto Rico, right? So that one you listen. He is explaining the pronunciation of each and every word. Please follow carefully. You see the textbook.
Cupboard. A while. A friend.
Now let's read the story. First, we learn the pronunciation of each and every word.
Juan. Stew. Cupboard. A while. Staring. Downhill. Nodding. Directions. Flushed. Seriously. Naturally. Tipped.
See, the numbers are given against one word. Can you see? One is number 1. Stew is number 2. A while is number 3. So he is telling the pronunciation of that words. Are you understanding? Vishnu, take out the pen from your mouth.
Fourth one stayed.
Yeah.
Nodding. Directions. Flushed. Seriously. Naturally. Tipped. Overjoyed. Delicious. Juan Bobo lived in Puerto Rico. Well, his name was Juan, but he was called Juan Bobo because he was sometimes quite silly.
Yeah. Monish, read that. Whatever he just read.
Juan Bobo lived in Puerto Rico. Well, his name was Juan, but he was called Juan Bobo because he was sometimes quite silly. One day,
Enough.
Juan Bobo's mother invited friends for dinner. I'll make chicken stew, she said.
So inviting friends. What do you mean by inviting? So today who is talking? What is this disturbance, ma? Anvita Reddy.
Juan Bobo's mother invited friends for dinner. I'll make chicken stew, she said.
So inviting friends. What do you mean by inviting? Suppose today. What do you mean by someone? What do you mean by inviting friends? You invite someone to your house. What do you mean by that?
Calling someone to my house.
Yeah, you have some party or you have some gathering. So you invite your friends. So they become your guests, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you become the host.
Yes.
Because you are throwing the party. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Friends for dinner. I'll make chicken stew, she said.
So inviting friends, what do you mean by inviting? Suppose today is your birthday, you go to school and you call your friends for your evening birthday party. So you invite your friends. When you invite your friends, you become the host and your friends will become your guests. Okay, what is chicken stew? Stew is nothing but a dish of meat and vegetables cooked slowly in a liquid in a container or a pot with a closed lid. So chicken stew is nothing but he has got that pot from his grandmother, isn't it? Okay, you put the chicken, you put the vegetables, you put some water, you add some ingredients, and you cook it for long hours with a closed lid. Yeah.
What is name?
I can't hear you, Sai Satvika. Please, solve your audibility problem. This is there from right from the beginning. Either you please change the gadget or somehow get rid of that audible problem. Okay. So chicken stew is nothing but, see it down. Stew. Please see in the page number 76. A dish of meat, vegetables cooked slowly in the liquid in a container. The container here is, Manvita, you are brushing your teeth now. So liquid in a container means, in our case, that is pot. The pot which he has got from the grandmother. So whole night the meat, vegetables, everything will be cooked inside that pot. We put some water, we put some other things, and the whole night it will be cooked with a closed lid.
To Juan Bobo, she had the chicken and she had the rice, but she didn't have a large enough pot. Juan Bobo, she said, go to your grandmother's house and borrow the biggest.
Yeah, borrow. Borrow means take one thing from somebody and use it for some time and give it back. For example, when you are in class. Yeah, someone read the second paragraph. One day. Read the second paragraph.
Jumbo, she said.
One day, Juan Bobo's mother invited. Simon Aswini, you read page number 7.
Jaun Bobo's
Okay, ma'am.
Wait, let her read.
One day.
Simon Aswini, let her read.
One day, Jaun Bobo's mother invited friends for dinner. I will make chicken stew, she said to Jaun Bobo. She had the chicken and she had the rice, but she didn't have a large enough pot.
Yeah, Simon Aswini, read the third paragraph.
You know, Babu.
Juan Bobo. Simon Aswini. Juan Bobo.
Okay. Juan Bobo, she said, go to your grandmother's house and borrow the biggest pot she has. Hurry so I can make my stew.
Yeah. So what do you mean by borrow? Sahasra, do you know what you mean by borrow?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Take ma'am,
Anvita, did I ask you? I asked Sahasra. She will explain. Yeah.
Ma'am, with Sahasra.
Sahasra A.
Yes, ma'am. Taking others thing, anything.
Yeah, other things, and will you give it back or will you keep it for yourself?
We will give.
Yeah, you have to give it back. That is called borrowing.
A large enough pot. Juan Bobo, she said, go to your grandmother's house and borrow the biggest.
Yeah, borrow. Borrow means take one thing from somebody and use it for some time and give it back. For example, when you are in class, you may forget to bring scale. So you borrow the scale from your friend or your benchmate and use it for a while and give it back to him. And coming to the biggest pot, can you guess the 3 degrees of comparison? That is the 3 degrees of adjectives for big. Big is positive, bigger is comparative, and biggest is the superlative. Yeah, what are the 3 degrees? We already learnt in the Manvita. Manvita, what are the 3 degrees of comparison of biggest?
Well, Sana, can I tell?
I asked,
Biggest.
yeah, degree. And Juan Bobo is which parts of speech? It's a name of a person. Juan Bobo is which parts of speech, ma? It's a name of a person. So